What's up, you guys? Welcome back to another episode of the Garden Room Podcast. I am beyond thrilled, so excited, so hyped you guys are here, and just encouraged by so much of what God has been doing in my life recently, and just how he's been moving, how he's been working, and just who he is. I've just been in such a reflection state of mind of reflecting on how good God has been, and just really trying to help myself to see the ways that he's come through for me time and time again, and the ways that he's working in other people too. A lot of other people's testimonies and things have just been so encouraging to me, and I'm just so thankful for who he is. But if you're new here, my name is Mari Thrower, and these are devotional podcasts to hopefully encourage you guys, uplift you, and just remind you of the importance of growing with the Lord. That is what the garden room is. Someone asked me the other day, what does the garden room stand for? What does that mean? And honestly, my heart behind this was to just have a space that really allows me to get to know the heart of God. When I think about the garden and I think about how it is where we first interacted with God, Adam and Eve in the garden, they were vulnerable, they were naked, and they were unashamed of just being in that space with him, being able to commune with him, and they were working on things together in the garden, and just being able to talk with God and being able to walk out their daily lives with their creator. And in the midst of that, though, there was separation because of sin. But when I started seeing the parallels of how Jesus was in the GOG, the Garden of Gethsemane, and he was vulnerable with God saying, "Not my will, but yours be done." And as he had just sweat that was coming down his blood because he was just so overwhelmed or just so caught up by what he was about to go through for sacrificing himself for all of humanity, for all of my sins, for all of your sins, and bearing that weight so we could have this space of communion with God with no separation, no division, us back with God, us back reunited with him without having to go through someone else, without having to sacrifice animals and things that Jesus laid down his life as the ultimate sacrifice to pay for the things that I've already done, the things that I would do out of his love for me and you. And we get to see this reunion because of that decision that Jesus made back in the garden with God. And now we get to have this space of creating a garden room, creating a space of growth with God wherever we're at, whether we're in the car, at the gym, in our house, in our classroom, wherever we are able to encounter God and have the Holy Spirit with us at all times. And it has just been such a beautiful, such a beautiful journey to see how God has created that space in my life, but now has labeled it. And it's just been sweet to see that he's allowing me to share that with you guys and share that with other people. And just, I encourage you, no matter where you're at, to be reminded of the gift that God has given us to be back with him, to walk with him daily, just like we did at the very beginning in the garden, and how Jesus has taken over sin and has restored that gift back to us, that we're able to be with God no matter where we're at and experience his love and experience his unconditional grace and his mercy, and allow him to help us to grow, because that is the whole goal of this. I want my life to be like a garden where there's a lot of growth happening, there's pruning happening, but I want God to be there, and I want him to be my ultimate gardener, and I want him to just produce the things that he desires in my life and just in the garden of who I am and who I'm trying to be. And so it's been such a sweet process. It's been an eye-opening process, but I'm thankful you guys are here, and I'm thankful for just who God is and how he's continued to show up time and time again throughout my life, throughout my journey. And so I'm so grateful, though, for today. I'm excited to get into today's episode, and we're going to be talking about how slow growth is still growth. Slow growth is still real growth. And honestly, that has been a hard thing for me to see recently. It's been a hard thing to kind of see in the past, where things take time to grow. And a lot of times I want my growth to be instant. We live in a fast, instant, just very, very just high paced society. We live in a time where things are almost very immediate. We go in and out of things back and forth. And you just think about how fast paced and how we just can kind of be running around life so many times in our day to day, just schedules, in our day to day, just lifestyles that we live where everything is fast paced. And I wanted to see growth in my life happen at a very rapid rate. And I'm not saying that God doesn't move quickly or instantly, but He also is a patient God and He takes His time. And when you are asking God to grow some things in your life, then you also have to be expectant and knowing that God is still working when you cannot see that growth taking place. And that was a hard thing and still is a hard thing for me to really get an understanding of. When I cannot see something taking place, I'm like, okay, God, I planted this seed. I have tried to water it. I have tried to put it in the best position I know how for it to start growing. Why is it taking so long? What is going on? And that can be a seed of something I've just sown in terms of like money or finances. It can be a seed I've tried to sow in terms of just my career path and what just route I'm supposed to go. It could be a seed that I've sown in friendships or in relationships or whatever it is. And I'm like, God, why is this taking so long? But most importantly, what I want to focus on is the things that I've tried to grow myself and try to curate myself in terms of my character and how I want this instant and rapid growth. And I've seen it, but it has been from a place that has not really had a real source and a solid foundation of who God is, but just has been from a place of, oh, I saw that this created just confidence or this created security or this created just joy for someone else when they did it this way. And so that's what I'm going to do. That's what I'm going to copy paste and try to see if I can get the same result quickly. And I've seen how that has been just a very big red flag in my life and how I have had to really change my motives. I've had to change my perspective. I've had to change my heart. And I've had to really sit there and say, God, I know this is taking a lot longer than what I thought it was going to be, but I trust you in the midst of this process that is taking place. And so I want to just kind of talk about that today and just kind of dive in deeper into that because I feel like a lot of us are looking at a lot of other people and seeing what is going on in their lives, and we feel like we want to obtain the same thing as quickly as possible. That seems like it's the goal of everything right now, to get as much as you can as quickly as you can. But as much as I feel like that seems like such a great bargain, I'm also starting to notice that is not the way of the kingdom always. It's not that God does not allow us to see rapid growth and allow us to just encounter that in a short amount of time, but that's not always how He works. And I think sometimes I can start following the way of the world or whoever else is around me because I see that that's what's going on in their lives. But God is really trying to get at our heart. He's really trying to get at real growth that is going to last and be substantial. And I had to take on this mindset that just because it's taking longer than what I expected, longer than what I thought, or longer than what other people thought, there's going to be people who are going to question and people who are going to ask, why is this not going the way that we think it should go, the way that it's supposed to look like it's supposed to go, or the way that you said it would go? And I had to recognize that when those questions come, if I'm really walking in the pathway of what God has called for my life, what He has set up for my life, or even just trusting in the fact that even if it's been in my own pathway, that God is still redirecting me, if I'm really walking hand in hand with God, then I have to trust that even if something is taking a lot longer than what I want it to, He is still in the midst of that. And I think it can be so easy to forget that God is still right there with you in the midst of so many different things that feels like it's not moving, it's not working, it's not coming to pass. But we have to hang on to the promises and the principles and just the presence of who God is when we're in these long, drawn out processes. And again, whether that's for something exterior or something interior, because sometimes it's been a process for me to finally start walking in confidence. It's been a process where there's some moments I can see a little bit of growth, and then other moments where I'm like, man, God, why is this taking such a long time for me to really develop in this area wholeheartedly with you? And a lot of that growth can be continuous too. It's not something that you just plant a seed, then you get a harvest, and then it's there, and then you just move past it. And you're like, all right, I don't need God anymore. A lot of this growth that we're going on throughout the journey of our lives, it's continuous, but it allows us to be reliant on who God is. It allows us to stay connected to the source of our real source of confidence, our real source of joy, our real source of peace. However, it is so easy in the times that I've tried to break myself off of that because I was like, well, this isn't really working. This isn't really happening as quickly as I need it to. Therefore, I will start placing my identity in other things to get this rapid sense of confidence, this rapid just feeling of security. But those do not last. They don't last. They are going to make you do all this work on the front end and promise you that this is what you're going to get. And it might actually be what you get, but it's not substantial. But slow growth, when God is in it, is still growth. Give yourself the grace to just grow at the pace God has marked out for you. And that has been something that God has really been working on me recently, you guys. It's hard to let go of your own time frame. It's hard to let go of your own expectations sometimes. But when you place that in the Father's hands, no matter what it is, you're able to trust that He knows what to do with your life so much more, so much better than what you know. And so I want to read you guys a passage out of Mark chapter 4, verses 2 through about 9. It says, He taught them many things by parables, and in his teaching said, Listen, a farmer went out to sow his seed. As he was scattering the seed, some fell along the path, and the birds came and ate it up. Some fell on rocky places, where it did not have much soil. It sprang up quickly because the soil was shallow. But when the sun came up, the plants were scorched, and they withered because they had no root. Other seed fell among the thorns, which grew up and choked the plants, so they did not bear again. Still other seed fell on good soil. It came up, grew, and produced a crop, some multiplying 30, some 60, and some 100 times. Then Jesus said, Whoever has ears to hear, let them hear. And that passage, you guys, has been very, very eye-opening for me on multiple different occasions. But hearing that and reading through that again, recognizing that there's going to be times where you can have a seed and there can be opportunities thrown at your face and things are going to come at your direction. And it can look like it can spring up quickly. And it looks like it can produce something fast, but it is not going to withstand the trial. It's not going to withstand even the things that you need. As the sun is something necessary, the sun is a part of growth, but that plant was not able to even withstand the thing that it needed, withstand the thing that it needed for growth because it didn't have a deep enough root. The soil was not good. And it looked like it was going to produce something, but then it couldn't withstand it. And I just asked God, I said, God, I don't want to be in a place anymore that just looks like it can produce something. But yet, when the things that I either need, the things that are trying to overtake me, or the things that I just don't know how to deal with start coming into my life, then I don't want my life, I don't want the things that I am pursuing to just wilter and just wilt and just fall over, because I did not decide to have good soil. I did not decide to allow you to prune my heart. I didn't decide to follow your pathway. I decided to do things in my own way, trying to get my own results in my own timing. But being able to trust that God knows what He's doing in the midst of so many different distractions that we have, so many different things, so many different avenues that we can take. There's a lot of different ways we can live our life, and I genuinely believe that God is allowing us to make so many different choices to see that He's still going to be the one who is in control at the end of the day, but also allowing us to see that He can put His hand on you no matter where you go, but He wants us to come to Him, and He wants us to be able to trust Him when He tells us, this is the way you should go. This is how you should go about this. This is how I want you to keep growing and how I want you to keep walking with me. And so as we just reflect on that passage, you guys, as I just had so many different things, as I was just thinking about my life, where I'm like, man, God, I want to be able to produce things that last and allow you to just sow seeds in a life and in a heart posture that is going to be faithful no matter what I am seeing all around me. Then I really had to reflect on, what is it that I'm trying to obtain at the end of the day? Because there's going to be a lot of things that distort my mindset from saying slow growth is still good growth, or a slower pace is actually maybe God's pace in this season. There's going to be a lot of things that try to make us believe that that's not true. And I had to start saying, what is the truth? What is the truth that God is speaking over my life? And how does He want me to apply it? Because God's word is the same yesterday, today, and forever. God's character remains constant no matter what. And He knows what's ahead. But we have to keep giving Him our lives and giving Him the things and our resources and our talents and our dreams and our goals to say, God, make this what you want, not just what I want. That your will would be done in my life. Because with that mindset, you're able to say, God is working here. Even when I do not see it, even when people start questioning it, even when you don't know, you can say, what I do know is God's hand is somewhere in this, even when the results aren't popping up as quickly as I want them to. But God is so much greater, and He's so much bigger than everything that we think is best and everything that we desire. So keep putting your faith in Him. Keep trusting in Him, no matter what the outside looks like. But as we wrap up this episode, know that I'm so thankful for you guys. I'm always praying for you and just cheering you on. And before we go, you already know the drill. The people who have been here, you know, I have to shout out my younger brother, Dalen Thrower, and his brand EOH. You guys, he blessed me with a sweater a couple weeks ago. It is one of my favorites now. I say that with everything that he creates and drops, but it's God Watch Over Atlanta, and this color, you already know, it matches the garden room. It matches my whole color palette, my wardrobe, but it is also so comfy. It's reversible. He should be dropping these here in a little bit. I'm not fully sure when, but be on the lookout for his stuff. Go check him out. EOH Forever. He's on TikTok, Instagram, run up his website, and I'm so proud of him. So thankful for him. But until the next episode, keep growing with God, and I will see you guys later. Bye.